Well, you wouldn't believe it. It's like the next day and I have another breed to do. But I thought rather than jumping straight into the breed on this one, I would go through some like beginner guide stuff because I think there's a lot of people coming into this ecosystem and didn't do beta tests and stuff like that. So it can be a little bit daunting and a bit of a leap. And as I said in past episodes, it's very much the best plan you can have is to have a plan heading into Gashero. Because obviously with 20 days on your common heroes, most of us will be starting off this game with common heroes. Time is precious in this game. So I do want to do an episode where I say this is like what I would start with if, I was kind of going, what's the best kind of optimized setup to start with? But I thought I would run through some things to give you an understanding of the structure of heroes. So like when you're looking on the marketplace or looking at heroes or weapons or whatever, it gives you a better idea of what you should be looking for. Before I do, because I do have a breed, so I'm just quickly going to jump over to the white paper. I know, the Bible. So you can see here, I am opened up the two resources that I've used a lot when you come to the white paper is in combat, there's troops and heroes. These are the two tabs, especially in the early days, you want to pay the most attention to. You have other things, obviously, to do, like clan battles and different things like that, but you just don't want to overwhelm yourself at the start. It's about just kind of understanding what items do, what heroes do what, and how to position them and stuff like that. So with that said, if I head to, I'm in troops at the moment. This is a great little resource section, purely based on, it kind of gives you an idea of weapons and pets and, how to structure things. So you may see like different weapons in the, that was a weird little thing that happened there. But you can see different weapons in the marketplace. So you kind of got your base, which is like no weapon at all and dagger or sword. These are like your frontline weapons. So by frontline, I mean like your first two characters in your setup. Usually if you had 6 characters, you would probably want those to be tanks, if not damage, on your front line. So you'd be equipping them with a dagger or sword. In your second line, it's doing it again. That's really strange. You got axe and hammer. So they're like your second line. So they could be in your second line or your first line of heroes. They're going to do, it's probably better with those weapons to have them in the second line because when you're starting off, your front heroes are making damage, obviously, with your swords and your daggers. But if you have like an axe or a hammer in your second line, they're also dealing damage. So I like, in my opinion, putting like your damage characters in your second line because they're probably higher stats with the damage they're inflicting, but they obviously don't take damage as well as tanks. So putting them in the second line, they have to kind of work through the tanks to get to your damage characters. So it kind of buys you a bit of time to, deal more damage, especially like with how they're dealing damage. Because obviously we will go down in a second and kind of see how the damage distribution works from your squad to the other squad. But we'll quickly just touch in the most overpowered weapons in the game, obviously, are bows, guns, staffs, and books, because they can deal damage from anywhere. So I personally think that they're really good with support characters because your support don't take damage well. They probably don't deal damage as well as damage, clearly. So you kind of want them in the back to kind of, offer up that support while still dealing damage, because if they have these weapons in the back line, they're dealing damage over to the troops as well. And a lot of these support characters have like special skills where they will replenish health like every third like hit or whatever it is. So if they're back here without a weapon, they're not actually helping until they get to the front line, if that makes sense. So even if you have a squad of 4 and you have a support, you want them with like a hammer or an axe in the second line, so they're actually using their skills to kind of assist the team, if that makes sense. So moving down, obviously, this will give you an idea of like how the weapons work and different things like that. So obviously looking at this animation they have here, it's kind of indicating that this person with the dagger would be, working on this person. And then if that person's not there and that's empty, it would be helping on this person. So if you have another person down here, it's like you're dealing double damage on that bottom person. Then again, obviously when that person dies, this person will be working on that top one and vice versa. So that gives you an idea of like how the damage is being dealt. And obviously, you just got to take that into consideration, like where they're going to be dealing damage and different things like that. So you've obviously got pets as well. I won't go too far into that because that's personally something I haven't done a lot of. I've been mainly basing my experience off weapons and heroes. Just trying to see how they work, how much damage they can deal, and how high you know, in the challenges and the resource battles you can get based off just heroes and weapons. Pets are definitely going to be something I'm going to focus on over the next 20 days. So I'll definitely do some more talking about that. But anyway, that kind of gives you an idea. And then if we go into heroes, because obviously you kind of go, well, you know, you talk about damage and you talk about support, but, you know, how do I know what's what? And honestly, there is 2 ways to do it. And I'll show you the first way. Obviously, the white paper has everything. But you can see tanks here. You can go through and obviously see the different tanks. And then you go down, obviously, to damage, and it shows you all the different heroes that obviously do damage, and then support, obviously, down there. So this is a good resource if you're kind of like wanting to look, but there is obviously an easier way, and I'll quickly just jump back to the app, because if you have a look at the app here, you can kind of head into your troops, and each troop will kind of tell you what they do. So even in the marketplace, and if we go to the marketplace as well, it'll show you that with these characters, you'll see kind of a little indicator here that says, obviously, damage. So they're a damage character. And then you've got your support. So that's a good way to kind of obviously see, but obviously the white paper is good too if you just have that constantly open, because I've used it so much to kind of relate back to stuff. But anyway, let's kind of get into the breed. That gives you a bit of a gist. Obviously don't want to overshare too much information, because if you're anything like me, it's like too much. You just kind of go, I'll see you next time. So yeah, let's kind of get in. And for me today, obviously I am doing a breed. You do have, like, with your breeds, a cooldown period. So if we go into the breed here, obviously I did one yesterday. So you'll see that certain characters have, like, a cooldown. So I bred with this guy, and that was the guy I bred. So both have the same cooldown. So once you breed a character, you can't obviously breed for 2 days. Wait, actually, that would be 3 days because I did it yesterday. So 3 days, 3 days. So you got to bear that in mind as well. So obviously today I'm not going to be breeding him as much as I would like to focus on damage characters, because I feel like they're kind of the in-between where they can take damage, they can deal damage, so they can be a front line, they can be a second line. So obviously my next mint, or the mint after, depending how much I get the resources together, will probably be another damage character. But for me, heading into the next 20 days, I kind of want a squad of 4. In my head, having 2 tanks, 2 damage, or even a healer if I really want to, is probably going to be the most optimal thing. So today I'm obviously going to be looking at tanks. So let's like head in, chuck in some tanks. So my 2 tanks, obviously, we got one here. That's the guy and that's the girl. Obviously 1 male, 1 female for a breed. So we'll chuck them in. We'll press breed and see how it goes. Okay, that's good. That's good. And we'll just see maybe double. No double. I shouldn't be surprised, but no, that's good. I would have preferred him as a tank. I don't know. She just doesn't seem to do as well as him, but it is what it is. They both do the job. And yeah, I'll have a few more breeds before obviously this 20 days is up. If we go back and have a look, and what I mean by 20 days is obviously heroes only have 20 days when they're common. Uncommon, obviously 30 days and different things like that. So if we head in here, you can kind of see that, you know, I've got 10 days, 3 hours left on all my characters, because I set them all up at the same time and I bound them to the account. You will notice, and this is why I'm kind of doing my breeds every day, is because as much as I'm not going to use her or this guy down here in this 20 days, they do offer energy. So once, obviously, you see it's 37 now, we'll kind of see in a second she'll load in. Obviously, it's minting the NFT at the moment to kind of show it in your account. That energy will go up to 38. So I'm kind of using them as batteries to kind of offer me up more energy until those other ones expire. They're not bound to the account, so you can lock them to the account, and there'll literally be a section where you're like, okay, lock, yes, and you have to type it in, because once they're locked, you can't unlock them. At the moment, because obviously they're bred, I can still level them up, those new characters, and get them ready for the next 20 days. It doesn't mean I can't still sell them if I decide I want to switch out characters. It's not until you actually physically lock them. The same with weapons and pets. Once you lock them to a character, you can't unlock them. So it's very important to make sure you know the moves before you make them, if that makes sense. Because, you know, we saw with, obviously we just finished like the PvP competition, and you saw a lot of people who had uncommons, like wanting to put rares in. Those uncommons were only 10 days old, but they're pulling them out, and that completely burns them. You know, it's good for the ecosystem, but it's obviously not ideal, because you would like to be able to, you know, put the rare in rather than the uncommon, and then use the uncommon for other things. But they do obviously offer batteries too, because with a common hero, like base level, like so if you just have a base, when you come into the Gashero ecosystem, you'll be given some free heroes which help you get to ground. Those expire after, I think it's 2 or 3 days. I can't remember off the top of my head. But the only thing you technically have to buy to start Gashero and like settle down in a base is a BCV. So you can come into this game, get your free characters. You know, you will have to buy a BCV, but if your heroes will get you to ground, you can use those heroes the first few days until they expire, but you only need a BCV. But saying that, when you have a common hero, like your base is 30. So once you set up base, you have 30 energy per day. If you have a common hero, it's 1 extra energy per day. If you have an uncommon, it's 2 extra energy. Uncommon, rare, and then rare's 3, epics 4, legendaries 5. So for each of those characters you hold, even if you've bred them, you don't have them locked, they're still giving you energy. So that's why I'm kind of like, as much as I would love to like accumulate and do like a bigger episode of like, you know, a bunch of different mints, obviously I want that extra energy. So I don't want to wait another day because I'm missing out on like 1 extra energy if I do it today versus tomorrow. So little things like that, obviously it doesn't seem like a lot, but 1 extra energy over 5 days allows me an extra battle to get like some more XP hero potions or some weapon fragments and different things like that. So there's little things like that. You just have to be a little bit strategic. You can see now, so obviously that's gone up to 38, and you can see it also increased my clan damage essentially, so it's like, you know, made it stronger. So yeah, the little things like that, good little tips. But I do want to do an episode because there has been a question of people being like, oh, I just don't know what to start with. I'm going to sit down and really work out like if I was starting, what would be like, now that I've done it for a week, I know it's so long, but a week in Gashero feels like longer because there's so much going on and so many moving parts, so many challenges. But I want to do an episode where I literally just say, this is what I would start with and this is why. So yeah, stay tuned for that. Anyway, guys, that's another breed. Hopefully it won't be long and I'll be back with another one, but appreciate it. If you guys have any feedback or, you know, want to let me know what you're doing, I'd love to hear that as well because it's very important. Or I don't know the perfect way. Obviously, I'm in the week deep. It's good to share information and learn from each other. But anyway, get out there, battle, win, enjoy. It's what it's about. See you guys next time.